So Dana, we have a lot of stuff going on.
Hey, we sure do. But before we get into that, everybody send us your email addresses. In return, we will send you back an MP3 of our latest new cool show.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, like misunderstood dictators, sharks,
Maybe some odd news stories, some current events,
politics,
a little bit of history.
Yeah, and you can only find that stuff on the Dana and Travis Show.
That is correct.
So, send us your email addresses.
And check out that Facebook page.
And we hope you enjoy the show.
Oh, yeah. Hey, this is Dana from the Dana and Travis Show. We'd like to thank all of our loyal fans. And if you have any suggestions or ideas for future show topics, you can email us at danaandtravisshow@gmail.com, or you can contact us on Facebook or Twitter. Hope you enjoy the show.
You're listening to a Collapsar Digital Studios production.
Live from Bloomfield, Indiana, you're listening to the Dana and Travis Show.
Greetings and well wishes. I'm Dana.
And I'm Travis.
Broadcasting to you live from Collapsar Digital Studios in Bloomfield, Indiana. Bringing forth the knowledge of the universe in 60 minutes.
We hope you enjoy the show.
Alright, this is the Dana and Travis Show, episode 13. Travis, how's it going?
Oh, it's going great, and just like always.
Yep, same here. I'm so sick and tired of rain.
Yeah, me too. It's been really gloomy.
It's been a crummy week.
But this is this time of year, you get into it's the rainy season.
Yeah, it's of course a lot of leaves have fallen. I think this weekend will probably be the peak for leaves.
Yeah, which I always love seeing the leaves fall and turn colors. I mean, I always love the colors of fall.
Yeah, I know. This seems like this year though, I don't think the colors are quite as, they don't pop like they usually do. It's just kind of blah. Of course, maybe not because the rest of the, with the rain and stuff, it's all blah. So
yeah, it's just a lot of overcast, a lot of clouds. And
yeah, it was supposed to clear off today. It never did. It just was cloudy and overcast the entire day. It did kind of clear off a little bit though, or it wasn't misty and rainy this afternoon. So that was good.
Yeah, definitely. Well, everyone, first thing is first. You can find us on Facebook, the Dana and Travis Show. And you can find us on Twitter, and you can email us at the Dana and Travis Show @gmail.com.
That is correct.
That is correct.
Right,
Your little tagline.
Yeah, so everybody, please contact us and let us know what you're thinking.
Just like the intro of the show, be sure to send us your email addresses via Facebook, and we will get that so you can so we can send you MP3s of our shows.
Yeah,
to
and
you.
be sure to send us those in a message form, so everybody doesn't get your emails. So
yeah, so it's good stuff's coming. Dad and I both have things that we're working on, personally, for content.
Yeah, got little side projects going, so it should be interesting. We'll see.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so I'm just gonna get right into this before we get into our main topic. So this weekend, Carmen and I had a little getaway. We stayed down in Bedford, and it just so happened the night that we went down at Spring Mill, they were having their annual haunted village.
Really?
Yeah, I did not know they had a haunted village.
I didn't either. I knew normally that each fall they do the candlelight tours where the people dress up in period dress and do their yarn spinning looms and and all that. But I didn't know they did a Halloween.
Yeah, a guy I work with, Darren King, shout out to you, and his wife. They said that there was going to be a haunted village down there, and they were actually going to be one of the people doing the haunting down there. So they said, yeah, like, come by if you're gonna be down in the area. I'm like, you know what, we're gonna be in the area, so we might as well come down and see what the haunted village is all about. And I tell you, I've never. I mean, of course, I never knew they had a haunted village, and I never knew that they had. That they. It's just one night a year. So then after that, they're done.
Hmm.
A lot of people showed up, and ask me how many people's a lot.
How many would you consider to be a lot?
A little over 3,000 people.
Wow, that's a lot.
When we were there were cars just lined up all the way down.
So let me ask you this: was it scary,
It was
haunted, or kind of let's have a fall festival and everybody dresses up like jack-o'-lanterns and scarecrows?
There was some clowns.
Okay, so saying, were there clowns?
Yeah, there were clowns,
Okay.
and it's not this. It wasn't the scariest thing, but there was times whenever they jumped at you, and you get your little kind of it's a little scary.
Great. I always loved a good haunted house or some kind of a Halloween themed hayride or something. I haven't been anything recently. Some friends of mine, Tyler and Jesse, they always have an annual Halloween party, which is right around the corner.
I was gonna say, yeah, that is coming around the corner. I've never been to one of those.
They are an experience.
Yes, I do know that.
Last year, I was a gorilla. I always wanted a gorilla costume, so I was the gorilla last year. This year, I couldn't help myself. I got a great white shark costume.
Oh, that is awesome.
With a pair of human feet dangling out of the mouth. I just thought that was just too cool.
I'm gonna jump into a little news story.
Okay.
First thing that has to do with this. Okay, so if all of you haven't heard, in California, there's a town, and they're being invaded by clowns.
Yeah, that's been all over Facebook, all over the internet.
Well, there was one spotted in Fishers, Indiana.
Awesome.
There is a creepy, I'm telling you, creepy clown with the balloons standing on the street corner just staring at people as they drive by.
I can see me doing that in Bloomfield sometime.
There is a Halloween parade at work that's coming up the end of this month. I'm really considering doing that, just dressing up like a creepy clown. But the thing is, I'd have to put the face paint on.
You gotta have the big red nose, the Stephen King, orange hair.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be some work, but I'd have to have the balloons.
Gotta have the balloons.
I gotta have the balloons because it doesn't work without the balloons. Seriously, if you take the balloons away from those clowns, would they be as scary?
I don't think so.
That's what I think. The balloons add some sort of hey little kid, here's a balloon. It's
like a feigned attempt at being nice. Like, you've got this clown holding balloons, but there's no way you would dare even go within 10 feet because he looks so freaking scary.
Or the opposite. It's like, oh look, there's this creepy clown trying to lure these kids in with a balloon.
Yeah, and they're like Stephen King's head. Hiya, Georgie.
Man, that movie used to scare the crap out of me.
It was a scary movie.
Yeah, I would. Just the heads in the fridge always scared me.
Yeah. And do you remember what its name was?
I really don't.
Pennywise.
Oh yeah, Pennywise. Yeah, that's right.
Pennywise the clown.
Yeah, Pennywise. I only know that because there's that punk band, Pennywise.
There's a band, Pennywise.
Yeah, Pennywise. I've heard one of their songs. Not bad.
Okay, but Spring Mill you said was good. 3,000.
Yeah,
in attendance. That's
it's
quite a.
I want to go back in next year.
Good.
Yeah,
great.
It was a good time, and we should bring you down next time just to stand out there and just because it's always weird. Because
I wear the gorilla suit.
Yeah. Well, I was telling some people, you're like, the last time I went to Spring Mill, I was about 2 feet tall and no facial hair.
What?
I mean, seriously, it had to have been about 15 years since I've been down there, or 18 years. You know, I mean, I'm 23 now, and I mean, it's been a long time since I've been to Spring Mill, and then to go back and see Spring Mill as a haunted village, 15, 18 years later, it's just brought back some memories.
Yeah, Spring Mill. That's a nice place, especially in the fall.
Yes, very nice.
So, what else? Anything else going on the past week at all?
No. Well, I wanted to bring this up. If I know this, not a lot of you know about me, but here's something that it's a personal to me.
And I'm sure you think about it probably every Halloween.
Yeah, I mean, well, especially when you bring up haunted houses and stuff, I do think about it.
I'm sure.
On a serious note, 6 years ago, around this time, it was the 19th of October when this happened.
Mm-hmm.
I witnessed a police officer around Melton's Orchard, west of Bloomington, get struck by a Jeep.
Yeah, that was 2008.
Yes, 2008.
Yeah, that was a big thing. Yeah, I think if I recall, a motorist had broke down alongside the road, and the Monroe County deputy, who was female, had stopped and was checking on the motorist or the car.
There was a tow truck towing. Well, actually, what happened was there was a truck parked at Melton's Orchard, and it slipped out of gear, and it rolled across the highway and went down to a ditch. And there was a tow truck towing the truck out of the ditch.
Yeah, and then she was directing traffic.
Yes, and
for the tow truck.
And a 16-year-old girl who had just got her license, apparently was distracted by the cop lights, and in her defense, because I witnessed this firsthand. I was coming the opposite direction.
You actually saw the officer get struck.
I saw the officer. It was very graphic.
I'm sure.
She got sucked up underneath the front tire, and then she got sucked up underneath the back tire, and was thrown out into the middle of the highway.
See, it was a Jeep that hit her.
It was a 1988 Jeep. So
like
it was
Jeep or like a Wrangler or
like a Jeep.
Okay.
So it was a one of the bigger kind of bulkier kind of old fashioned Jeeps.
Okay.
And so she got so I saw it, and I had some friends. To back up a little bit, I had some friends, and we just went to a haunted house.
Yeah, they were at Harrodsburg, wasn't it?
Harrodsburg, and we were on our way back, and we witnessed this happen, and I immediately I threw my car into park in the middle of the highway, threw my flashers on, and I ran over to the officer, and there was an off-duty EMT who happened to be there who saw it, and we started performing CPR on her because she was not breathing, and I grabbed a hold of her radio, and I called officer down on her radio, and the tow truck driver also called for backup on his radio. We were performing CPR on her, and there was cops within 2 minutes there.
Oh, I bet.
And
officer down is what you do not want to hear on a radio.
Yeah, and it was I don't tell too many people this, but it was a life-changing event that happened. At one point the officer the off-duty EMT kind of went over, and he was checking with the tow truck driver, and I was just sitting there, looking at her. On the ground, there was not a cut on her. There was not, any blood. There was nothing. She looked like that she was just laying in the middle of the road. And she actually opened her eyes for a second and smiled at me. And then she just closed her eyes. And, when you see something like that, it does something to you. It changes you.
Yeah.
Well, but we were there all night.
I know at the time, I know you probably, as it was happening, until you had time when it was all over to reflect on what had just happened. At the time, you're not thinking about it.
I was in adrenaline mode.
Yeah.
I was just trying to do what I could. At the time, I was doing a medical careers training at a vocational school, so I had just gotten my CPR license, um, which I never thought I'd ever use it, but it just shows what life can bring you. And you never know when you're going to witness something like that. And I had not, I never thought that I would ever witness anything like that. But yeah, just after I calmed down and my adrenaline was gone, it just hit me like a sack of rocks. I couldn't believe what I saw. Everything just started rushing onto me at once, and I just broke down. I couldn't stop crying. And it didn't help that when this one particular officer who got there really gave me crap over what happened. He was asking for all of our names, and they were writing them down for witness statements. And this guy, he asked me what my name was, and I didn't know if I was supposed to give him my full name, and so I just gave him, I said Travis Roach, and he's like, "Is that your name?" And I said, "Well, my name's Jason Travis Roach," and he's like, and he jumped at me. He's like, "When I ask you for your name, you're going to tell me what your name is. You're not going to do a runaround. This is serious. Don't you not know that?" And he just
Really?
yeah, he really jumped on me, and
Well, and in his defense, I'm sure he probably knew the officer involved and was probably upset. But
not to cut you off. When I went to the debriefing later on, he came up to me personally and he apologized to me.
okay,
And he told me that he was upset because she was not supposed to have been there. He was late to work because he forgot something at his house. He asked her to stay over.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
he was upset that he was responsible for her death. And he told me that. He told me, he's like, I feel like that if I wouldn't have, forgotten that thing at home, she wouldn't be dead.
Well, yeah, I mean, so I can appreciate that and I can understand that. He probably should have had a little bit more composure than he did, but like you just relayed that he felt responsible. So yeah, he was going through his own little tough time, and so
Yeah,
a little bit of slack, I guess.
yeah. Which I at the time, I was more worried about what I was feeling inside than to really pay attention to his words. Yeah, I was just more upset about what I saw because what I saw was not what. I mean, there was other people in my car with me. They saw it, but I don't. But even they asked for what was going on when it happened. Like I saw it happen. Like it was right in front of me, and I was super honed in on it whenever it happened, and it's just. And I think about it every time I drive by there. I always see her memorial there, and I'm probably gonna bring her some flower. I'm gonna take some flowers to the memorial this year. I haven't done that yet since it's happened,
Okay.
and I think it'd be good for me, and
Well,
but
that's a perfect example. We never know what life is going to throw at us and when it's going to get thrown.
yeah.
And
I mean, I know if you've had your moment, in the past, in recent years,
and just very similar. I was involved in a little incident at work, and uh, pretty similar. Just everything happened at once, and luckily nobody died. But I really thought, really that somebody had, that my friends had died. But it was all okay. But yeah, just that whole rush and. Uh, after it was all over, of course, I can sit back and we kind of laugh about it now, but at the time it was, just very intense.
yeah. I know for me, mean, I saw her die. I mean, pretty much. I mean, they said that when she was taken to the hospital, they said at one point she started kind of breathing, but they said that she never had a chance because her spine was broken in 3 places. They just didn't know until they got her X-rays back. They said that she never had a chance.
And the driver of the Jeep, did we ever?
She had been receiving death threats over what happened because they thought that she might have been texting
Mm-hmm.
at the time, but I think they ended up saying that she was just distracted by the car lights, and with the help of my testimony and my friend's testimonies, it was dark enough. The only reason why we saw the cop there was because she was shining a flashlight at us.
Yeah, well, yeah, she was actually facing you. Correct?
She was facing me, and she
her,
didn't.
And her back was to the other vehicle.
Yes, yes. So she was almost. It was just dark enough outside where she could have blended in, with her brown, you know, outfit on, police uniform, and yeah. And I think I heard later on that the girl, she got into another wreck,
Wow.
and I don't know whatever happened of that, but I know for a long time she had. I heard that she was receiving death threats, and
Well,
it was not good for her.
And to all police, EMS, and first responders, I know from my 20 years on the ambulance service, when you're on the scene of a wreck like that, you kind of get tunnel vision sometimes. There was one particular incident when we was on a pretty bad wreck, and I was kind of running to the back of the ambulance to grab a C-collar or whatever I was getting, and I jumped in the back, got my stuff, and then I jumped back around and come around the side of the ambulance and just almost walked out in front of a car.
Yeah, I remember when you told me that.
And it scared the crap out of me. So everybody out there, that police, EMS, fire, just be very aware of your surroundings, and especially if you're in a roadway on a scene of a wreck.
I know this episode wasn't really going to be all about this, but I just feel like I want to talk about it. It's something
That's cool.
that's dear to me. But there was some good that came out of this whole deal, and I believe that along with my testimony and along with everyone else's testimonies, I think we might have possibly gotten a state law passed, just based on our testimonies when it came to her not having reflective uniform on.
Yeah, I knew there was a big push after that, to be sure that everybody, had reflective gear. I had a coat, which was fine if it was wintertime.
Well, and I also know when you got your coat, I remember back in the day when you got your coat and you were complaining of how much you had to pay for it out of pocket.
It was extremely, we had to.
It was like $170
It was about
coat.
$200, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a super nice coat, and believe me, you can see me a mile away in that coat.
Yeah, I remember that coat.
It's got reflective striping all over it, and it's bright yellow.
Well, I know that they said that she did not have a reflective coat on because she couldn't afford one, and she didn't have any reflective or safety equipment on her. Period. And they thought it was because they have to pay the officers have to pay for that stuff out of pocket.
And I know it's the same way with a lot of fire departments, and like I said, I was EMS for 20 years, and we bought a lot of our clothing it wasn't until the end of my career that they actually started buying us uniforms. We had to buy our own.
Yeah. Well, I do believe that our testimonies help say that it proved that maybe she would have been alive had she had reflective equipment. It had a way for the girl to see her.
You said too. When it's at dusk like that,
mm-hmm.
It is harder to see. It's harder probably at dusk than it is when it's completely dark.
Yes. But I believe after that, that they passed a state law where it said the state has to provide anyone who works on a highway reflective gear or safety gear. And I believe they pretty much said that that whole incident, caused that, because maybe she would have been alive. She was the first Monroe County police officer to ever die in the line of duty, and it was a big deal. It was a big deal for at least a year. That whole investigation went on for a year, and I know that's what it came out to be later on. But it was kind of weird though, because after that whole thing happened, we a bunch of our friends and I, when we went to Olive Garden one day, and there was some people in there. It looked like they were. Um, we overheard them talking, and they were talking about that incident, and they said like, yeah, like that Sarah Jones. I kind of caught my
Heard the
ear.
name.
Yeah, it caught my ear, and I looked at him and I said, I'm sorry. It's like, you're talking about that, and they're like, yeah. It's like, well, I was one of the people who witnessed that, and they're like, oh, really? And and they pretty much were like, yeah, we get protective equipment now because of the whole thing. And one of them kind of made a comment, it's like, well, I guess your testimony kind of, helped us be safer. And when you hear something like that, it kind of, it's like, wow, I guess some good came out of this. It's just at the time you wouldn't have ever thought,
Yeah, and
that could happen.
Well,
But
it's sad that it took something like that, for there to be a a change. But a lot of times that's how things do get changed.
yeah,
So
yeah, I agree. Well, it was anyway. It was just, the whole thing is just, I just wanted to take this time to just give a little memorial to what I saw, and to Sarah Jones. If you get a chance, look up the article. There's several. Her name was Deputy Sarah Jones. Died in October 19th, 2008.
and just to add to that, because it just so happens that night, Kylie and I was in Bloomington,
Yeah.
and we were at Steak and Shake, and we seen the traffic backing up, and we made this statement. Yeah, there must have been a really bad wreck.
And then I called you.
Yeah, and I had no idea that you were part of it, not kind of part of it, because Kylie and I ended up going all the way around to get around traffic, but we were just right down the road and had no idea what was going on. So
Yeah, I had to stay there all night. I did not get to leave until 4:30 in the morning.
wow.
And that happened around 9:45.
Yeah, because I think, if I'm thinking right, it was probably close to midnight, I think, whenever we were at Steak and Shake.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that time frame.
Yeah, it happened around that time, and it was it was an all night thing, and it was yeah, it's a night I'll never forget.
Yeah, I know. I've had those.
Yeah, it's just I never thought I'd experience one. As young as what I did. I was only 17
Wow.
at the time, so. Because I turned 18 that January, because I graduated in 2009. So, yeah, it was a life changer, and I believe that I'm a better person today because of it. And
Yeah, and and just like with you, you never see those types of things coming, and all you can do is just,
it makes you question everything that happened that day. That's what you ate for breakfast.
oh yeah, that whole day is just ingrained into your
You think like, well, what if I would have done something different? If I would have waited, because we went to Walmart before that. What if I would have waited there just one more minute? I would have missed it.
Yeah.
But everything happened, and I was supposed to be there, and that's why I honestly believe. I believe that I was supposed to see that. I was supposed to be part of it, and it changed me, and maybe that was for the good. It like I said, all the things I talked about earlier. Yeah, it's
and it was even in the deal that I was involved with, one of our other friends, there was three of us in a room, and one of our other friends had just walked in like maybe 30 seconds before it happened, and he was changing some filters, and and he had no more walked out, and then he hadn't got halfway down the hallway when the whole thing
yeah.
happened, and of course his first thing was, they're all dead. And he was, everybody thought we were dead. We thought everybody else was dead.
But
everybody thought everybody was dead.
yeah, but you and I have talked about this many times. What happened there was an act of God.
Yeah, it's one of those things that happened, and nobody was at fault. It was just one of those things that happened.
Yeah, nothing you can ever change. It was like it was supposed to happen.
Yeah, and everybody was fine.
Which
and like in your case, I think some improvements were made afterwards, to prevent that from happening again. So
Well, anyway, I hope I hope I didn't bring any of you down, but no, I mean it's an important event in my life, and and not very many people know that I witnessed this.
Yeah, and and even myself, I wasn't involved in it, so it was now that you bring it back up, it's like yeah, it didn't affect me the way it affected you. I remember it, but obviously every Halloween I don't really think about that as you do. So
yeah. But anyway, everyone, uh, kind of screwed up on our show format.
That's all right. Well, we've got some other topics that we're going to talk about. So
well, I think we're gonna go to break, and when we get back, we're gonna talk about Ebola.
Oh yeah.
All right, everyone. We'll see you in a couple of minutes.
And a cartload of dreams. Take your time, said me father, stop pushing like hell. Remember, all's not what it seems to be. But as fellas would cut you for the coat on your back, or the watch that you got from your mother. So take care, me young bucko, mind yourself well when you give this sweet note to me brother. At the time, Uncle Benji was a policeman in Brooklyn. Father, the youngest, looked after the farm. When a phone call from America said, send the lad over, the old fella said, wouldn't do any harm. But I spent me life working this dirty old ground for a few pints of porter and the smell of the pound.
All right, back from our break. Now we're going to talk a little bit about Ebola tonight.
Yep, big topic.
Yeah, we've been kind of putting this off, but it's gotten to the point where
we gotta say something.
Yeah, we think we need to sound off a little bit on this, which we kind of have in the past before. I did just recently get back from Africa myself, and everybody was, there was some tension there. There was some fears there. Of course, I was not really too bothered by it because I really wasn't going to the area. But we have...
Before you say what you're going to say, now, part of what we're going to get into is that the reason why you were getting so much grief over it is because I really don't think people really understand what Ebola is.
That's true, and I think now the air travel has become such a hot topic, and even whenever I went to Africa... Of course, we had the layover in Senegal, which Senegal is right there next to Sierra Leone and Monrovia.
It's right in the hot spot.
Yeah, it's right there. And even though, maybe I wasn't going there, possibly somebody could have got onto the airplane that had been there. So that's kind of where we're at now. It's not necessarily, you can't even, evidently now you can't fly from Cleveland to Dallas and not get Ebola.
Yeah. Well, okay, before we get into all that, why don't you give everyone a little background of where it came from and how we discovered it?
Yeah, just real quick before we get into the politics at present, the Ebola virus, it started in the Congo, which was formerly the country of Zaire in Africa. I think the first outbreak was in 1976. And, of course, at the time it was, and I remember... I don't know when I first really heard about Ebola. All I knew was it was some bad stuff. You bled out of every orifice, and then you died a horrible death.
See, I remember hearing about it when I was a kid. I remember seeing TV programs about it. But I think there was a little flare-up in the 90s, wasn't there?
Well, there's been outbreaks off and on ever since. About seems like every 5, 6, 7 years, some small village in Africa would have an outbreak. And it would get a lot of, airtime on the news and stuff. And then it would just kind of extinguish itself and just kind of burn itself out.
Yeah, because they would all pretty much die.
Yeah, and then, you'd be good for a few years. Actually, the name Ebola comes from a river in Zaire, or the Democratic Republic of the Congo. That was the original area where it first started, the Ebola River. So that's how they named it Ebola.
Okay.
But, initially, I think they thought it was contracted by people going out into the the bush and collecting bush meat, which was primarily monkeys. And they would butcher the monkeys and get blood all over their hands, and then it would spread that way. They're saying now that fruit bats are the main carrier of the Ebola virus, which it is a virus. So, everybody, I think over here it's a little bit different over there. Sanitation and just general cleanliness is.
It's not like that. It's not like everyone has a working faucet and soap like we do over here.
Yeah, but they're saying too. Like over here you can't rely on hand sanitizer.
No, because it doesn't. It's
antibacterial.
Yeah, not antiviral.
Yes. So soap and water is probably better than like hand sanitizers. But basically, so there's been outbreaks here and there, for the last 30 years. I saw one guy that was speaking about it on the news the other day, and of course he says, that there's kind of this conception that we just don't know much about Ebola, and we've got to really get on top of this, which I call BS on that.
Yeah, I do too, because you go first.
Yeah, well, the guy that was speaking, he says, when Ebola first come out, guess who the first ones that jumped on the Ebola bandwagon?
Us and the Russians.
Exactly. And why would that be?
Well, to make weapons out of them.
Yeah, biological warfare, weaponized Ebola. Of course, you got to consider back in the the late 70s, 80s, even into the 90s. The biological warfare wasn't frowned upon.
No, well, and there was still kind of a little bit of the Cold War going on.
Yeah, the Cold War was going hot and heavy all through the 80s. So there wasn't the stigma attached to weaponizing anthrax or smallpox or whatever. Of course now just like the cluster bombs. Oh, those are too inhumane. We can't use those. So
yeah.
So yeah, I think that us and the Russians have been studying Ebola for 30 years.
Yeah, and I think we should go into trying to debunk some of the things that people are saying about Ebola.
Yeah, there's a lot of
misinformation,
disinformation, a lot of just lies.
Yeah, like okay, a good example is that well, I'm just gonna say there is an ad going on in Kentucky right now against this who's a senator that's running
Mitch McConnell.
Mitch McConnell. I believe that there is a ad ran against him. Pretty much the Democrats saying that it's the Republicans' fault for the Ebola outbreak because Republicans have cut so much so much funding to the CDC, so they were not able to develop a vaccine.
Yeah, it's the Republicans and George Bush are behind all of this.
Yeah, and just like what Dad and I just said, this has been around since the 70s. They've had plenty of time to study this virus. Oh, and don't you also think it's quite odd that they're already talking about possible vaccines for Ebola? Have you heard about this already?
Yeah, it's just it's kind of strange.
Out of the blue, they've come up with a vaccine.
The couple of patients, American citizens who have come back here, because we just have to have them over here. They've survived. In fact, the only death that we've had in the United States is the gentleman that come over here and lied about it and died in Dallas.
Yeah. And
of course, everybody's saying that, he didn't get the same care, because he was black, which I do not believe.
The hospitals have to provide equal treatment to all who come in there.
This is already, people are politicizing this, and the race baiters are calling race, and that's the biggest reason why I think they are so afraid to shut down the air travel, between United States and Western Africa, because we can't deny that's discrimination. No, it's self-preservation is what it is.
Well, I've already heard this one guy on CNN said that we owe it to the community over there because their country was founded in I believe the late 1800s.
Liberia.
They were found in the late 1800s, and that was from the result of the black families we tore apart when we brought we brought over slaves.
I would have to research it, but I think, and I can't give you a time frame on it. It was probably maybe the 1800s, late, post Civil War, post slavery. A lot of the blacks did go back and form their own country in Liberia. So they're kind of basically saying that Americans
are responsible,
recolonized. They come over here to the United States, had families and maybe a couple, 2 or 3 generations, and then after slavery was over, I think a big block of Afro Americans did go back to Africa and formed Liberia.
Yeah. Well, it's So they're blaming they're blaming white people once again. And just for things that we currently, as of this generation, cannot. It's out of it's out of our control.
Well,
it's not my fault. It's not your fault.
But it's just easily to call something I or politicizing it or against Republican or Democrat. Obviously it's just I think everybody is so busy trying to be continuously PC. I've said for over a month, that we should not be letting anybody holding a West African visa into the United States.
And now let's talk about that for a second. I'd like all of you to ask yourself, what issue besides the supposedly because we owe it to them, why else would we keep the border open?
Yeah.
Why else? I mean, why?
The head of the CDC, I've seen him, he testified on Capitol Hill today. And, they asked him, what is the problem? Why will you not shut down the airlines? And he goes into this, well, that would just create more problems.
And we won't be able to transport help that's already over there back over here.
Yeah, and,
It's like, first of all, just shut down commercial airlines. You can send military helicopters over there and bring them back.
Yeah, or charter flights, to where you can, where you're not exposing people that for sure aren't exposed previously. It was like the case of the plane ride from Cleveland to Dallas. There's 132 passengers now that have to be quarantined on top of the people that they've been around since, the nurse from Dallas, who supposedly the CDC let on the airplane with a low-grade fever. Oh, it's okay. No, you're probably fine.
Well, no, she was not supposed to get on it.
There's
commercial airline.
There's conflicting stories on that.
Oh, she was not supposed to get on there. That's what the head of the CDC said.
Yeah, but she says she called the CDC and they said it was okay. And the CDC now is backpedaling. Oh, we're not aware of that. We've never heard anybody say that.
Oh, that makes me feel so much better about containing Ebola.
It's a dog chasing its tail.
I mean, just think about that statement. It's like, okay, well, we don't really she wasn't supposed to. Okay, but here's the problem. It did happen.
Yeah,
it did happen.
Yeah,
and obviously you were not competent enough to.
Obama gets on there and says how we're going to be more aggressive about it now. Well, geez, you should have been aggressive from the start.
Yeah. Well, why don't you say a little bit about the little video we saw earlier that you found on YouTube?
Oh, yeah, very interesting.
Look up this video.
And this was probably about a month ago. It was actually when I think the first doctor was brought over here that was had Ebola, and we treated, I believe, in the Nebraska hospital. There was a news conference, and one of the public relation peoples from the White House was answering Ebola questions. And like I said, this has been several weeks ago. But one journalist asked a question, and it's the woman. Her last name was Harf, Harf. She looks like she's about 20 years old. She's got some Sally Jesse Raphael glasses on, just
blonde.
Yeah, it was. She's very out of place in that position, if you ask me. But she starts rattling off these prepared statements.
Yes, you can. When she's talking, you can see her basically reading off a paper.
Yeah, she's reading prepared responses from a paper.
No teleprompter.
It's very obvious. But in her response, she refers to the current Ebola attack.
And then the guy stops the video right there. He's like, "Wait, what did she say?"
Yeah, backtrack it up.
Ebola attack.
The Ebola attack. Okay, since when is, and this is, somebody wrote that and put Ebola attack on the paper.
So that just makes you wonder: is what going on over in Western Africa is it an outbreak
Or is it an attack?
or was it an attack?
And did somebody just, have a little Freudian slip and, there you go. And, is it a far reach? Maybe it was just a mistake.
Possibly.
If it was just a mistake, obviously they have somebody very incompetent writing the press releases.
Yeah, because that is something you do not want to tell people unless it's true.
And I think if we had a word for the night, it would be incompetence. Because, I would hate to say that people are just flat out that stupid.
It's either they're stupid or they're wrong. Or it's either they're stupid or they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, you hate to think it, but it looks more and more to me like none of this is by chance or coincidence. It's all part of a plan. From the open borders in Mexico to the trouble with ISIS, who aren't a threat to us, who I watched a video where they...
Just earlier, yeah, he showed me a video.
Yeah,
It's disturbing.
It's very disturbing, but every now and then some videos will slip through on Facebook that really shouldn't probably be there. I've got a couple of go-to sites that I go to for that kind of stuff. That shows you what's really going on.
They had these people, a huge line of people laying on their stomachs.
Yeah, it was, and if you've seen, of course, Travis kind of looked away because this was very graphic.
I couldn't watch more than 5 seconds of it.
It looked to me like about a line of about a mile of these young male Iraqis. This was supposedly a video taken around the town of Tikrit, and they were just
shooting them in the head.
Executed. Yeah.
They had
1,700 students.
Had them laying on the ground, shooting them in the head. Now, I want all of you to think 1 second. How many people died in the World Trade Center?
3,000 something.
3,000. So, in one day, over in Iraq, just a normal day.
Yeah, that's a normal day now in Iraq.
They're killing almost 2,000 people a day in Iraq.
To refer to ISIS as a JV team or
No.
not a threat, that's just, I don't know what planets some of our leaders are living on. It obviously isn't this one.
I mean, could you imagine George Bush just writing off 9/11, just the attacks on the building, just kind of being like, oh, well, we'll just let the media bury this under
and this is
whatever topic of the day is.
A lot of
that's what this is going on over there.
A lot of these deaths, of course, were Christians, people who aren't Muslim. And, with the video that I saw, those were all students, that were probably, more progressive and probably more Western leaning than what, of course, if you're Western leaning at all, you're too much for ISIS. But no, that stuff's going on, and you can't tell me that these people aren't a threat. And I use the term people very loosely, that they're not even, they're animals. For somebody to cut somebody's head off, and I've always said, and I'll say it here, I've told people at work this, Travis said this before, but I know since the al-Nusra, when it was real big during the Iraq War, they did, behead a lot of people. And, again, every now and then some of those videos would kind of filter through on Facebook. I really think that every citizen of the United States should have to watch a beheading. And then you will see what kind of animals we are dealing with.
I mean, like I've told him, I said I don't need to see a video.
I think everybody needs to.
I'm saying, like, me personally,
whether they want to or not, they should be forced to watch one.
Me personally, I don't need a video because I couldn't imagine even watching the video, because that's, to me, just even the idea of watching a video where someone's getting their head cut off by someone else.
Yeah, you're literally watching someone get murdered.
I can't do it. That makes me sick to my stomach. I can't do it. Like, I just can't. It's, and but for the other people who want to defend them, the people who want to defend the religion that they're doing this in the name of, And it's just, I mean, you can say whatever you want about Christians. Christians are not going out beheading people.
Yeah. Well, and they had such a fit at Abu Ghraib, when, we made him get naked and had a dog bark at him. Well, big deal. They're cutting people's heads off.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, would they rather have that or be waterboarded?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. We need to shut down the airlines going to, not shut down the airlines. We do not shouldn't allow any person with a Western African visa into the United States, period.
No, and I don't want like I was telling Dad, I don't think Ebola's to the point yet where we should be entirely worried about it. I think until you start seeing it in your area, it's very possible. I'm not saying that that's not possible. I'm saying, like, I think we all need just to keep calm and try to keep our heads on straight.
Could you imagine if somebody from ISIS
if infected
themselves with Ebola and then come over here and maybe got a job at a meat packing plant and or went to the Super Bowl or went to a college football game and contaminated the water fountains or anything. That's a possibility. And they don't even have to fly here. They can go to Mexico
and cross the border.
And cross right up. And they could be at a Dallas Cowboys game in about a half a day.
Yeah.
And we don't want that, and that's why the border should be closed, and ISIS should be destroyed, and Ebola should not be here either.
Oh, Dad, but now you're just trying to come up with an excuse why we should shut the border.
Oh yeah, I'm being very political here. I'm completely politically motivated. And I'll tell you what, and I thought about this today too, and I haven't talked to you about this, but in all honesty, I know we don't have a huge following, but for the ones that are listening, it really, and I think I will probably work on this weekend, would not be a bad idea to have about a month's worth of food and water tucked away in a little plastic tote in your closet. Because I can foresee. I mean, of course, and I heard they say that you should anyway. And you don't have to invest a lot of money in it.
Non-perishables.
Yeah, ramen noodles, beanie weenies, Vienna sausage, maybe some dried beans, some rice.
Trail mix.
Yeah, just stuff that can keep. But I think it would be probably wise to have about a 3 or 4 week supply of food and water, just in case.
Yeah.
Because from what I'm seeing, I can't see it getting nothing but worse. From the complete incompetence that the CDC, the leadership in this country is all showing.
Yeah, I'm just to the point where I'm just at wit's end. I can't. I don't think that this is a plan, but I cannot deny. I can't deny that there is something seriously going wrong.
Well, I just hate to think that there are supposedly educated people that are that damn stupid. So are you stupid, or is it?
It's as stupid as the people
we actually planned.
It's as stupid as what the people we elect. I mean, look at all the stuff that goes on a daily basis. Okay, here's the next news story. Just like what's going on in Houston.
Yeah.
With
the lesbian mayor.
Yeah.
And the churches, the Houston churches.
They go they go on and on and on about separation of church and state, separation of church and state. Well, and then they go on about how Christians and how conservatives how we break the law all the time. How it's unconstitutional to on gay marriage, and then you have someone like this mayor down in Houston who's literally telling pastors and priests
subpoena
sermons. Yeah, that's
sermons, church bulletins, any kind of written notes have all been subpoenaed, or at least they were tried to be subpoenaed.
Well, until the Texas Attorney General told them to stop harassing Christians.
That's a clear violation of
violation
of freedom of speech, freedom of religion. Those preachers are fully within their rights to preach whatever their faith teaches, and if it's against homosexuality, then they're fully within their rights to say that their faith does not agree with homosexuality.
But you know how they look past that? Well, that's just hate speech. We have a right to deal with hate speech.
Well, yeah, there's the dog's chasing his tail again. I think hopefully they put the
All they do is rebrand and then relabel the name. That's all they do.
The Attorney General did come out and pretty much give a cease and desist on those activities from the attorneys of the mayor's office, which the mayor's office is now kind of doing a little dance and backpedaling. Oh, well, we didn't know that, they were just doing pro bono work and da-da-da. No, the mayor knew exactly what she instructed the attorneys to do because she tweeted it.
Oh, yeah, because it's official if you tweet it.
Well, it was from her Twitter account.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's official. It's an official document. If you tweet it, you know.
Well, it's out there in the public domain, so yeah. I mean.
Well, that just trying to tie that in what we're. That's just stupidity. I mean, there's people who support that.
And where is the ACLU on this? Where's Al Sharpton? The whole Ferguson, Missouri thing.
And that's another thing.
Yeah, that is still going on. They still want that police officer's head. But never mind the head of the woman who got it chopped off by the Muslim person who earlier that day said that he hated white people. And then he goes back to the workplace and chops the head off of a woman. Where was the riots there?
Well, Dad, the only reason why that happened is because he was not offered the same opportunities that white people were offered growing up. That he must have grew up in an environment where that was clearly not offered.
Yeah, he's just misunderstood. I bet his mother didn't breastfeed him enough when he was a child. That's probably why.
Well, I don't know any personal details or anything, but
Well, it's I'll tell you, things are really upside down in this country right now, and it bothers me and it worries me.
Well, I don't know.
Oh, can we move on to weapons of mass destruction? you can't keep track of it anymore.
Yeah. Okay. So all of you who did not hear, which you probably didn't, because the media's not talking about it that much.
Oh yeah, that was just
Oh, you know how George Bush just wanted to invade Iraq because he wanted to avenge his daddy.
They were relentless with that. Oh,
how he wanted to avenge his daddy. There was no weapons of mass destruction.
It was all oil. It was all about oil.
It was all about oil. Well, no, it turns out they did find over 5,000 chemical warheads in Iraq from 2004 to 2011.
But what I find more disturbing is they lied about it. And, the whole purpose and why they would lie about it, of course, I don't know if it matters that it was stuff that we sold the Iraqis to begin with, during their war with Iran. They didn't want that to come out. But I know whenever we were making our case to go to war with Iraq, Colin Powell and George Bush got up there and pretty much had an itemized list of everything that we pretty much were sure that they had. So many 1,000 pounds of this, so many 1,000 pounds of that. And included in that was mustard gas. Granted it's not anthrax and it's not a nerve agent. It's a biological. It's not biological, but it's chemical.
But they found like nerve agent too, didn't they?
I don't know if they actually found any nerve agent. I think if the mustard gas was all they found, that's the Germans used that in World War One. It's kind of a low grade. It'll still kill you, or if nothing else, it will blind you or burn your lungs out. But anyways, why did they cover that up?
Well, it's just the fact that they did find stuff. They didn't go over there and just find just desert and nothing.
Well, and what's more, by not releasing that information, that just furthered their cry on how the Republicans went into a bad war and Bush was a bad president, and all of our problems today are because of Bush and the Republicans.
Yeah, but
so that just was
everyone's really quick to jump to that, but and like we've said before, Bush was not a perfect president.
No,
he had some things that he did wrong, but I think that he was a patriot. I think he was
a patriot. He was honest, and I didn't agree with everything he did, but at least you knew where he stood.
Yeah, like I don't even know. I'm just saying this. I'm not saying this to dog on Obama because I just don't know what his goal is. I mean, I don't think any of us know.
No, it's like,
What is he trying to do?
the whole foreign policy is just complete chaos. There is no
I
foreign
mean,
policy.
I honestly like I know that right now I'm safe here in good old Indiana, but do I really feel safe knowing that there's just being miles of people lined up on the ground being shot in the head overseas, and knowing that they could easily get over here?
Yeah, and we think that's not going to happen here. We think that people don't get their heads cut off here.
I mean, Rome, back in the Golden Age, thought that their good times would never end. They lasted about a couple hundred years, and then they fell apart.
Yeah.
What I mean, who's to say that the United States can't fall apart?
And just real quick, and I know
We're not invincible.
We're kind of jumping around here, but I got to throw this in. Bo Bergdahl. Let's not forget Bo Bergdahl, which the news headlines say that evidently the investigation is over. But guess what?
Oh, he's free, isn't he?
No, we're not going to say anything what we found out until after the elections. Because we don't, because how would it be if they, actually said, yeah, he's a deserter, and after you've seen Mr. Obama parade his Muslim parents around the Rose Garden in a freak show, while we still have a U.S. Marine in a Mexican jail, and Obama won't even speak to his parents.
I just don't get it. I really don't get it. I mean,
it's sad.
I mean, okay. Let's just assume that Obama it really means well. Let's just assume, okay.
Okay.
Why isn't he getting him out?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's why a lot of the stuff. I mean, you would think that. I don't think he's a dummy. I don't think he's stupid.
I think he's a smart guy. I think he knows exactly.
Yeah.
I think
so. Yeah. I make what of it you can, but
I just think for a president, he is very
unengaged.
No, he's just. That's it. There's no words. There's no words to describe what he is. I don't know. I don't know what he is.
You know what else I have a problem with? What's our time look like?
It's 1:02.
I don't like the idea that we're taking a $500 million missile and blowing up a $200 Toyota pickup truck with a 50 cal mounted in the bed.
What's this?
The airstrikes on ISIS.
Oh.
We're spending all this money on airstrikes to blow up a junk Toyota pickup truck with a 50 cal in the back. I guess we're not picking our targets well. I want some more bang for my buck. I want bodies.
Well, I'm sure the U.S. military is gonna figure out.
Well, they're hamstringed right now.
Yeah.
I heard a commentator, kind of associated this whole bombing campaign on ISIS as kind of like casual sex. Yeah, you're doing it, but there's not a lot of commitment. And that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, there was no I do's. There was no.
Yeah, it's like we're gonna. And
we're in this together.
Yeah, we're going through the motions. But just not in the morning. See ya. So.
Well, I feel like that's how most of the media is. They just jump onto whatever topic they can, or that's how the politicians are. They just jump on whatever topic they can, deal with it, and then just try to move on.
Like I said, anymore there are so many huge issues that this country is dealing with. You can't keep track of them from day to day.
Yeah, because who's talking about Benghazi anymore?
The Benghazi, of course, Fox News is about the only one.
Well, I'm talking about how in the very beginning of the year,
but
everyone was all that and the IRS scandal. Let's revisit all the scandals.
Have you seen any of the interviews with the CIA operatives?
No.
Chris Pronto, he is a bad dude, and bad as in good. I wouldn't want to be in a fight with him. He was one of them that helped save what was left of the embassy in Libya. They've kept him hush-hush, him and his buddy. They're CIA operatives. And they've kept them hush-hush for 2 years. They've just now started to be able to where they're talking. Of course, Leon Panetta let the cat out of the bag last week, that he told President Obama that night that it was a terrorist attack. Oh, I thought it was a YouTube video. And then, Susan Rice goes on the Sunday talk shows, and Panetta just pretty much called him out. It's pretty bad. Jimmy Carter is even criticizing Obama right now.
Oh, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, when Jimmy Carter says you don't know what you're doing, it's terrible. So, but yeah, the two CIA operatives have been very vocal and have actually said, that they were given 3 stand-down orders, and after the third one, they just kind of said, "Up yours, we're going." And they did, and they disobeyed orders because they weren't going to watch. They were going to try to save the ambassador. So, lots of stuff going on.
Yeah. Well, before we end the show, do you wanna like put a little clarifications on what you expect from Obama? I mean, like, do you wanna, like, I really hope that he really does something.
I don't know. I'm almost afraid. Maybe doing nothing would be better than doing something.
Well, I'm just okay. I guess what I'm trying to say is like,
Okay. What I want him to do, I want him to close the Mexican border. I want him to stop allowing people with visas from Western African nations to board airlines and come over here. I think the CDC needs to give better insight and instruction to the hospitals who are dealing with, and it's not just Nebraska and Dallas. Today, I've seen so many hospitals around the country that are dealing with patients with Ebola-like symptoms.
Or intravirus.
Yeah. I think the hospitals they're not skilled in this. They don't know how to handle Ebola.
It's an aggressive disease.
But if you're a general hospital, you need to have, they need to have teams in every major city helping hospitals deal with suspected Ebola patients.
Exactly.
And don't leave it to some poor nurse that's just fresh out of nursing school to deal with Ebola.
Yeah. Because obviously they're not qualified. I just don't think they're qualified to deal with it.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone is at this point.
No, not anybody in the general medical.
You need specialists. You need people who have dealt with it. You need them on the scenes teaching people how to deal with it. Yeah. That's what you need.
Or just taking over and just dealing with it themselves. Third thing, ISIS, destroy. Don't degrade. Don't diminish. Destroy.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll wrap up those 3 things. I know there's a list, but I just want to say before we head out.
We were all over the place tonight.
Well, you could say this is a very political episode,
and we have in the past tried to stay away from the hot topics.
Well, it's just not just for that, but you also you have a job.
Yeah.
You have a.
I'm. We don't want to offend anybody.
No, what we're saying too is that you have the right to believe what you believe, and I believe as Americans we cherish that our Constitution. We're able to speak what we think, and there's no hatred out of it. This is what we think is best for our country.
Yeah, if anything, I'm deeply concerned.
I think it's just more. Yeah, it's just concerned.
And I think that we can do much better as a country than what we're doing.
Yeah. So it's just like I would hope that whoever would be in office, whoever's the president, whoever has to deal with this, needs to do it in a fashion that keeps us safe over here.
Yeah, because the bottom line is not anything that we owe another continent or nation. The government's sole purpose is to protect the people.
Yeah. And I love this country. I'm glad I live here. I cherish the freedoms that I have, and you do too.
Definitely.
And I still want to see it go away. What we have here is good. So, you got any final words?
That about covers it.
As he's giving me that disconcerting look.
Yeah. That was about as soft as I can go on most of those topics. I know I made that a little bit wild a couple times.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, hit us up on Facebook, Twitter.
Email us at DanaandTravisShow@gmail.com.
Big shout out to our sponsors, Sidewinder Graphics. Be sure to see them for all your t-shirt, banner, and license plate, vinyl needs.
The link is on our Facebook page, so go check them out.
Yeah, so until next week.
You be careful now.
And cut.
And cut.